trainers in Sri Lankan Toastmasters fraternity, or to compete and most importantly to win. So it's all free. So pay your fullest attention to all these sessions throughout and get the maximum benefit, because we have brought in the best trainers in town for you to spice up your knowledge, to learn from the best and the experts. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started with the first session itself. Let me invite our first resource person who will be enlightening all you with how you can spice up your speaking skills. He is a past president of Smedley Toastmasters Club, director, performance strategist at Blue Mango Partners, business consultant, corporate trainer, and executive coach with over 17 years of experience in the corporate sector, master practitioner at NLP, and he is the district editor winner of evaluation and impromptu speaking. He is a double champion, to summarize. So put your virtual round of applause and welcome on screen our first trainer of today's session, Toastmaster Sandun Fernando. Toastmaster Sandun, the screen is all yours.
At the end of this session, if you remain the same, we would have wasted half of our lives. At the end of this session, if you remain the same, we would have wasted half an hour of our lives. Keep that in mind, and let's try and make this a great morning. To all the panelists, as well as all the attendees, good morning and a warm welcome. I hope all of you are excited. I heard so much about the first day and how much you have learned. Let's take it to another level today. Speak to spark. I think I will take a cue from what our MC today have learned from yesterday and start from there. You can speak with your mouth, but when you speak with your heart, that is when people remember you. That's when you can move audiences. That's when you can ignite the audiences to be something more, to do something more, and in general, to change your audience as well as the world. What do I mean by speak from the heart? Apart from what you picked up yesterday, this is what I mean. The most important thing about a speech and the most important thing about a speaker's connection with the audience is emotion. In your speech, emotion is the most important thing that is going to ignite the audience. A lot of you as young speakers, young children who are starting your public speaking career may not be very familiar with this. You might probably think, what do you mean by emotion? I will get back to you on that, and keep that in mind. That is one of the key things that I would like you to experience. And most of my friends in the panel here know this, that these online presentations is something that I don't enjoy so much. And a lot of my friends who have been a part of physical or live seminars that we have done know how much we enjoy interacting with each other and keeping it fun. So I'm really missing the opportunity of seeing all the participants. Hopefully one day soon we get to interact with all of you and make the best out of it. There's another reason why I say that, because the spark of a speech comes with a lot of sensory experiences. What I mean by sensory experiences is that as humans, as people, we experience this world using our 5 primary senses. And when we are online, there's at least 3 to 4 of these sensors that we cannot experience because all of us are at home. All of us are with our families, all of us are with our loved ones for good reasons due to these challenging times. But if we are in a live audience, we will be we will have the experience of of listening to the speakers and of experiencing the speeches a little more than seeing them on a screen and hearing them as we speak. On that note, can I get a virtual raise of hands or a thumbs up from our panelists if my audio is full and well, you can hear me? Maybe one of you can switch on and then just give me a confirmation. I know this
Yes,
is the
Sandun.
most,
Yes,
all
Sandun,
right.
can hear you.
Thank you very much. This is the most, this is one of the most famous lines from 2020. You are on mute or can you hear me? I'm just continuing the traditions to 2021 as well. Right, okay. What do I mean by the sensory experiences that are limited when you speak on a computer is the fact that, or when you speak to screen on the fact is that when we are in a live audience, the speakers get to interact. The speakers get to see the audiences. The speakers can create an experience as opposed to just seeing them on a screen and listening to them. This is something I would like you to remember about structuring your speech as well. Of course, there are three parts about structuring a speech, which I will go into shortly afterwards. But I just want to highlight one thing that is about igniting the emotions in your audience in order to spark them. And the next thing is the sensory experiences that you can create. It is going to be challenging in a virtual environment where your audience interaction is limited and they can only see you through the screen and they can only hear you. But I want you to remember, as human beings, we experience life with all our senses. And as a speaker, when we want to create value for our audiences, we need to give them experiences that are created with their senses, right? In a live audience, right at this point, I would have asked you to turn to the person next to you, give them a high five, give them a hug, wish them a good morning, and start this session. We would probably have a bit more loud music. I would get you to do your morning energizing dance, and that feeds into your kinesthetics, that feeds into you feeling the touch and the feel of the people around you. And immediately once that is done, that creates that. So in the absence of that, since I cannot do that, I'm going to ask you, if you are at home and you have your mother, your father, and if you're a parent, if you have your little ones around you, and if you are one of the adult Toastmasters, if you have your pets at home, whoever is around you, give them a high five, give them a big hug, and see how you experience this virtual seminar a little better, a little different. I hope all of you are now busy giving high fives and hugs to everyone around you. That is the sensory experience that we miss. Of course, in our speeches, we should be able to create that, right? And also about the emotions, let me just give you one quick experience, what I mean by emotions. It's a beautiful Sunday morning. All of us are connected here. Looking forward to some great educational presentations from some of my friends here. And you are also looking forward to the Ignite competition where you get the opportunity to share your story, share your speeches, inspire the audience, and not just that, become a better person and a speaker. As much as all of you are excited, let me take you a step back and let me ask you to do something very simple that is going to generate a different sense this morning. Remember this morning, there are some of our friends who are probably in quarantine centers because of this terrible pandemic we are going through. There are some of our friends who have not been able to go to school, meet their friends, and meet their teachers and get that education experience. There are some of us who knows family members who probably have lost their jobs, their livelihood, and they're struggling because of this. Despite all these challenges, all of us are here today. We are able to attend this virtual seminar. So there are a lot of things for us to be grateful for. Now, here's one thing that I would like you to do. I'd like you to join me. Close your eyes for the next 30 seconds and think of three things that you are grateful for in life. Please close your eyes and listen to what I say. The fact that you are not suffering from any ailment, you are not suffering from any sickness today is something to be grateful for in life. The fact that you can listen to what I say, you can see me on the screen, use a computer or a phone and access this seminar means that you have financial means in life that are good. That is something to be grateful for. And all of you, I am sure, on this beautiful Sunday morning are spending time at home with your loved ones. You have your friends and family, your neighbors who are around you to take care of you. So you must be grateful for all the beautiful people in your life, including your friends and family. And I'm sure some of you would have had that hot cup of coffee or tea in the morning, maybe even had their breakfast. Or some of you are looking forward to that beautiful Sunday lunch today. Close your eyes and think of the opportunities and of the nourishment, the supplies you have in your life. I'm sure all of you are wearing nice clothes. Be grateful for that. You are living a life of privilege when you have people to love you, people to take care of you. You have access to resources that help you learn and grow. You have access to your supplies, daily supplies of food and drinks and clothes. You are blessed and be grateful for that. All right, open your eyes. And now, how do you feel? I really wish I could get a few people to speak to me here, but hey, this is a webinar setup, but I'm pretty sure I want you to scream from wherever you are. It doesn't matter whether I can hear you or not, but talk it out and say how much you feel, how much gratitude, grateful you feel. I'm sure when I close my eyes, I can hear all of you say that. That is emotion. That is what we need to incorporate in our speeches. When we speak, that is how we need to let people feel good feelings. That is going to spark when we speak. So these are two things. And also, here is another simple thing that I want to start before I go into the structuring of the speech is that whatever you speak, you should be able to create an image in the minds of your audience. In the minds of your audience, you need to be able to explain things so that they can mentally transport themselves, travel to the settings of your speech, so that they can be a part of your speech. So visualization, imagery is another thing that adds to your speeches. So there are three things that I'm talking about. And on the third thing of visualization and imagery, here's another thing let me talk to you about. Imagine you are by the side of a beautiful lake. Up in the hills, in the chilly mountains are surrounding you. There is a slow breeze, and the wind as it caresses your face, you can feel your hair, not mine, yours, blow with the wind. And the beautiful lake, the ripples of water on the surface. And when you look around, you can see flowers blooming on a Sunday morning. All the colors of the rainbow, the red flowers, the blue flowers, the yellow flowers, the green grass, all this is around you. And in your hand, you have a bright orange. And as you take a bite of this and you experience nature, now, how many of you feel what I am talking about? How many of you are mentally transported to that favorite place, the riverbank that you always want to be? Right now, although I'm speaking to you and you see all these things in my background, I am in a place like that. This is a virtual background. I can see the beautiful lake in front of me. I can see the mountains around and see. These are three very important elements to transform any speech, to change any speech and get your audience to experience the spark. Emotions, right? Emotions, sensory experiences, and also imagery, the visualization. These are things when you bring into your speech as you go through your stories, as you go through your messages. These are the things that is going to spice up the speech. So that being said, let me move on to the three important parts of a speech and how you can structure your speech in such a way that is going to be different to the rest of them. Remember, when you are in a competition, and already I learned from my friends that we've got hundreds and hundreds of registrations, about 300 to 400 in the junior category and also in the senior category, another 300 plus. So we are going to have lots of speakers and the judges are going to hear all these speakers one after the other. When that is the case, how do you stand out? How do you bring out that originality in your speech and how do you become different, that you have a spark in your speech? There are three parts that you need to keep in mind with regards to that. The first one being the opening. Roughly the first 10 to 15% of your speech. That means if you're doing a 4 to 5 minute speech, this is roughly about the first 30 seconds to the first 45 seconds of your speech. This is the opening. You need to get the attention of the opening. And there are different techniques that you can use. One of the things that I want to encourage is do not open your speech with the standard method. If you remember this morning, I could have nicely greeted all of you all to a beautiful Sunday morning and said, hello everyone, very good morning to you, a happy Sunday morning in it. I didn't start that way. Instead, if you remember, what did I do? I made a statement that got you thinking, a statement that challenged you. I said, if we do not change at the end of these 30 minutes, we have wasted our Sunday mornings. If we remain the same at the end of these 30 minutes, that means if we don't learn something and if we don't become knowledgeable about things, if we don't become better speakers at the end of this half an hour or for the next 15 minutes that I have, we would have wasted our life. Now, immediately that gets you thinking. After I got you thinking, then I said, hey, I wish all of you a great Sunday morning. So don't start the traditional way of saying, thank you everyone for your time, good morning, all of that. No, start with a creative way where you get the hook of the audience. So a bold statement like that is something that you can. And I always quote this speech because I was there in that live audience when our good friend and the champion of District 82, the Toastmaster Dhananjay Hetiachi, won that world championship that August morning in Malaysia. He started his speech by taking out a beautiful red rose and no good morning, no greeting, nothing. He looked at, he held it and said, you and I are like this flower, right? We are unique, we are beautiful. That's how he started. And then he started breaking petal by petal. And he said, life has a way of breaking us down. And then he put it into the bin. So imagine that opening. That is filled with so much of emotion, so much of curiosity, so much of drama that everybody in that audience, more than 3,000 people, were like, that's what you need to do with the opening of your speech. Here are some ideas. You can start by singing a song. I'm not going to try that because I'm not the best singer here. My friends here know this. But if you are somebody who has a beautiful voice and you can, and here's another thing, the storyline, what you are saying in the speech has to be connected to it. But provided you have that, you can start with a nice song. You can straight away start with a nice story. You can even talk about, or you can even mention a quotation from somewhere that you have read. Remember, all these things needs to be relevant to your speech. Here's another thing to all my friends, the young speakers here today. You don't start preparing your speech by thinking of your start. No, that's not how it happens. When you prepare for your speech, you prepare by asking what is the message or what is the story or what are the key elements of your speech that you want to get ready with. You don't even start with a topic, you start with a message. We call it the foundation phrase, we call it the seeds of the speech. These are the things that are embodied, these are the things that are a part of the body of your speech. However, once you think of that and you're clear, you are going to speak about um, your childhood friends. You're going to speak about your dreams and how to achieve them. You're going to speak about keeping good relationships with your friends and family, and you're going to tell a story about how you went on. These are the things that is in your body of the speech, and this is the main part of your speech, right? Don't forget that. But after you think and you have this, you have to then think the start and the opening of my speech. How do I make it attention grabbing? How do I make it creative? How do I get everybody's attention into that? Now, in order to do that, in order to do that, you've got to come up with what is called a creative opening. And the creative opening is you can use a prop. You can start with a statement, a bold, daring statement. You can start with singing a song or a story straight away. You can start by asking the audience a question. Even in the virtual environment, if you want to use a prop, you can even use a prop. Prop means you can use another object, like for example, this bottle of water is a prop, this mobile is a prop. You can get everybody's attention by using this. So this is how you can do the opening. And there's a couple of things about the body, which is the second part of any structure. You have the opening, which is about 10%, 15% of your speech, and then the bulk of your speech, easily about a 60, 65% of your speech is your body. The body is where you discuss the meat of your speech, the important parts, the story that you want to tell, or the stories, the multiple stories, the examples you want to give. The most important thing about the body of your speech, or rather the two things that are very important about the body of your speech, is that you need to have transitions. Meaning, as you move from one point to another point, or as you move from one story to another story, or as you move from your story to the message, the transition of your speech has to be clear. That is one of the most important things about structuring your speech better. If the body of your speech, which like I said is about 60, 65% of your speech, or the bulk of your speech, if it is one flat, long story with no transitions, with no movement from one to another, audience is going to find it a little difficult to follow because it's one long block of the speech. No, you must do transitioning of that. That means from one point to another point you need to go, from one story to another story. The depending on the main points of your short speech, you must manage transitions. And here's another thing that you have as an advantage if you're in a physical environment, is that you can use the stage to highlight the transitions of your speech. Even in a virtual environment, although I am speaking to you seated right now, if I take myself further, I can use a lot more of the screen and use the transition. I can start from this part of the screen and I can move to this part and then speak on the next part of my point. Depending on the way how the body of your speech is structured, you can also use the stage or the space of the screen to transition so that the audience remembers, okay, in the body there is one point and there is another point. You're telling the story and now you are relating the message to the audience. So the first thing is transitioning of your points in the body. That is very important. And the second thing is audience engagement and audience interaction. Because the bulk of your speech, the 60, 65% of your speech, when you are speaking, you need to think of your audience as well. And you need to get them involved in your speech. Yes, of course, when you have a nice story, when you have your good structure, they will engage with you. However, I would encourage you to use words, use techniques to engage the audience, right? If you hear what I am saying and if you agree with what I am saying right now, I want you to scratch your nose. Yes, do that. Scratch your nose, hold your ear, right? And give a big smile if you understand what I'm saying. See, that's a very simple technique. You're calling the audience to act in a particular way. Of course, here's what I'm saying now. Now, I don't misunderstand me, all my little friends. During the speech, don't ask people, okay, touch your nose over your ear. No, I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. Do it in a creative way and get your audience to interact with you. And it doesn't have to be a physical action per se. It can even be a rhetorical question. You can ask them a question and get them to think about it. That way, you're immediately getting the attention of the audience in the bulk of your speech, right? And we go to the third and the last part of your speech, which is the conclusion, which again is about another 15 to 20% of your speech. Or in other words, the last 45 seconds to 1 minute of your speech. Here, there is two things that is very, very important to keep in mind. The first thing is that your ending has to be memorable. People need to remember your ending. Going back, that speech of my friend Dhananjay Hettiarachchi, right at the end, the speech was so memorable because remember what I told you. If you haven't seen that speech on the YouTube, I encourage you to go and see that. At the beginning, he breaks the rose and he drops it in to that dustbin. And everybody forgotten about that rose. And then he goes on about the speech. And then he says, if you surround yourself with the right people, it doesn't matter how broken or lost you are, the people will reach out and make you whole. And he pulls out, like a magic trick, a full rose. Now, people are thinking, you broke a rose and you put it there, and now how do you take a full rose? See, that is memorable. And also, the other thing about it is there is a twist at the end. People believe, oh, I know. It's like watching a movie and saying, hey, I know what is going to happen in the end. In the end, the good guy is going to beat the bad guy and they're all going to live happily ever after. Everybody's expecting it to be that. But then you introduce a twist. You introduce a twist where the plot changes at the end. Instead of one bad guy, there's going to be three bad guys. Instead of the good guy winning, oh my God, the good guy is struggling. There has to be something unexpected at the end. That is another trick of making. The twist is another trick of making your ending memorable. But being memorable is only one part of it. The other part of it, the important part is, it is at the ending or the closure of your speech that you need to speak about, or rather you need to bring a message to remember. The value that you create for your audience should be summarized and presented in the most creative way at the end. If you remember that speech of my friend Dhananjay Hettiarachchi, he ends it saying, ladies and gentlemen, when I see you, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. And he ended it. That's his catchphrase. That's how he summarized everything, that people around you will see the good in you. That's his summary, and he had that lovely phrase. So he repeated that, and as he repeated that, you should see how the 3,000 people, that live audience, erupted with roars of cheer. That's what you want at the end. Your ending has to be memorable. It needs to have something unexpected, something dramatic, but at the same time, it needs to have the message, the key message that you want your audience to remember. These are the things. So, considering the fact that I am finishing my 30 minutes in a few short minutes, here's what I want you to remember, and let me summarize that with you. In order to bring out the spark in your speech, you need to bring out emotions. You need to bring out emotions. You need to give your audience a sensory experience. That means you got to get them to experience a little bit more than what they see on the screen and what they hear. You got to get them involved with their kinesthetics. You got to get them involved with the taste. You can do that by using words. I'm sure my friends who are talking to you about that will share with you more on that. And then the third thing is you got to get people on an imaginary journey. You got to get people to think away from the space of their home that they're looking at the screen and listening to. You got to transport them to different places. So imagery is important. And in order to do this, when you structure, three things to keep in mind: the opening, the body, and the conclusion. As far as the opening is concerned, it has to be creative, attention grabbing. Sing a song if you have to, tell a story, ask a question, make a statement, use a prop, do whatever to get the attention. Important thing is, don't make it blank, don't make it standard. Don't start by saying, good morning, everyone, thank you for your time. No, that's not done. You have to be different. You need to have the spark. About the body, two very important things: manage the transitions, one point to another point, one story to another story, story to a message. Clearly manage the transition. Use your body to show the transition. And at the same time, engage your audience. Do something a little different. Call them to act in a particular way. Ask a rhetorical question. Get them thinking. Engage your audience. And finally, when it comes to your conclusion, make it memorable. Introduce a twist, something that people didn't expect of. If you want, use your props again, connect it to the beginning. Either way, make it memorable, but the important thing is share your message in a way that people remember and see value. I hope these tips are useful for you to make your a speech something with a spark so that everybody will remember. Now, that being said, do you think half an hour ago what you knew, and during that this half an hour what you learned, are you still the same or are you someone else? Think about it. Over to you, Nepa.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Sandun Fernando, for that enlightening